Thank you, Greg. Dr. John Lorenz, Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost, will now assist me in presenting our honorary degree. Dr. Lorenz.
Will Mr. Stephen Wozniak please step forward? Industry pioneer, philanthropist, electronics genius, and educator. You've distinguished yourself with original thinking and a business revolution that brought the world to our fingertips and made the unimaginable real. For your world-class creativity that set the entrepreneurial standards for engineers who have a smart idea and a willingness to work hard. For your ongoing belief in education and your personal choice to complete your college studies after your breakthrough success. For your global commitment to learning by supporting educational initiatives that have put personal computers into the hands of youth and school systems around the world. And for being an inventor and living inspiration for the next generation that will shape the information age. Kettering University is proud to confer the honorary degree, Doctor of Engineering.
Wozniak, by the authority vested in me, I confer upon you the degree Doctor of Engineering honoris causa. Congratulations.
This is an extremely important day for myself, mainly to honor those of you, but also myself. This is very important, even though it's only an honorary degree. I was brought up with very high values towards education, and I told my dad when I was about 10 years old, I'm going to be an engineer like you. And second, I want to be a teacher. And, came a time, even after the Apple success, I decided I don't want to give up my values in life and have them change just by success. And I did manage to get back to college under a fake name. I got my diploma in the fake name of Berkeley. Rocky Raccoon Clark. And I also had told my dad in a later year in life that someday I'm going to buy a computer. He said it costs as much as a house. I said I'll get an apartment. You find the ways to do those things. Some things you're just driven to do. They're in you and you want to do them your whole life. I spoke once to a commencement in community college in the San Jose area. I got up and I proudly announced how I was a graduate and a laureate of San Jose College, San Jose schools, San Jose City College, and Lincoln High School. And while they were all applauding, I said, driver improvement. So, all of you graduates, prior to Kettering, you were, good at math and science and some of those areas that drove you towards a school like this, a school that, would have been more maybe the logically right school for me to go to. You were praised and acknowledged by teachers, and it made you feel good about yourself in this area, and you wanted to work harder, and you knew that this was your direction. And math is kind of like, for some of us, it's determined. You have calculations that are done correctly give one answer that's correct a lot of times, or they will solve the problem well enough that it's solved for a circuit for the values or whatever. Whereas other subjects in life kind of get into a lot of right and wrong, subjectivity, and who's using the best words and all that. So, when I was in high school, I decided, math was closer to real facts, real truth, and it was, I decided that of all the ideals in life, people said this and that are the good things in life, and these are the bad behaviors. Well, when you get arguing them out, what's good and bad, especially if it's politics, one thing is you can look for is truth, and a lot of times those who are wrong and know they're wrong hide the truth. What they do is they use hypocrisy, they do one thing and say another, or they use deceiving type of languages. I decided that when I was just getting out of high school and heading off towards engineering in college. Some of us in high school, of course, we're kind of nerdy. We learn to speak engineering, words, moments, feedback, path, all those kind of, words that a lot of it's an insider thing. It's our own little clique, and the rest of the world doesn't understand. But then again, we learn, as we go through life, we learn to understand how things work better than other people. A lot lot of people just think it does work, but we want to know how it works. Once you get to Kettering, you're in college, you know, now you have the new degree of independence. You're really on your own for the first time, and it's probably the best 4 years of your life, 5 years of your life, are the years in college. That's what I always felt. Every year to me was more fun than the year before. I had a professor once who said, well, you can drop out now and work for the rest of your life. So really, you have to give up your education if you drop out. You give up your chance to learn new things. And we're born with this desire to go out and explore, find out, how does something work? What's in this drawer? What is this about? You know, and to learn things. It's just built into every little baby. And bit by bit, we get funneled into, no, you can only go this far, you can only go this far. They put constraints on our dreams. But we have to realize that anything you can conceive of, maybe, you can do it. I love the co-op situation here. I've really never been exposed to that before. What a great meld for the maturity, because a typical young college student really has no idea of a lot of the other departments in a business and marketing considerations and what the end user is going to need for building products and all that. You get to work in a company for a while and learn that your job is, you know, so important because it's creating real things that work. I was never really a theoretical type person myself. I always wanted to be practical and build things that worked. And it's also very comforting to know that you're sort of in the job. You're in the job. You don't have to worry about when I got out of college. I graduated in psychology. What am I going to do? There's a lot of people that have fears. Where are they going to go to in life after college? A lot of that is minimized when you're in a technical type area. I mean, I knew from high school on, I knew electronics well enough. I never really had a fear of not having a job. So it was a very lucky thing. Coming to college, of course, you're very bright and gung-ho, and I've got all the answers. I know how to calculate them in school, and you're in with a lot of other very bright people that are equals to you. And it's not always that easy, but you can solve the answers, you can solve problems very quickly. By the time you graduate in engineering, you've learned that some projects are very long and hard. They need a lot of diligent work, and they need a lot of time-consuming care. You sometimes have to double-check. By the time you get out, you do a lot more double-checking as you progress in a job in engineering. You'll find out that being so careful that your answers are right, because one miscalculation can set everything off, as you know, companies like NASA will know. So you always learn to check your work, you know, and what happens is if you believe in yourself when you're working on a project, you will do a little bit better job than you had to, a little bit better job than almost any other person would have done. Something extra, something special, and you treat it like it's part of yourself. What you create as an engineer, what you design, what you build, what you manufacture, is a little piece of yourself, and you want to make it that perfect. What are your skills as an engineer worth? Well, there are a lot of things in the world that don't work that well, that need fixing. There are an awful lot of things that need building just to run the world. There's a lot of change that goes on in the way we live our lives, and it really comes from the heart of engineers. Engineers have the knowledge and the skills to build new things that will let us live our lives differently, more efficiently. Efficiency is output over input. We don't always get the recognition. Sometimes other people get the recognition for what we as engineers, you know, have worked so hard on. That's, you know, that's sort of the way of life. We're not doing it necessarily for recognition always. We're not doing it necessarily for the salary. Sometimes we're doing it because this is the thing we love to do. Myself, I decided that I was going to be an engineer for life. I decided I was never going to, that engineers were the best people, they were the most trustable people, they thought logically like I did, they could come up with correct answers like I did, and they were the most objective type of people. When it came time to start Apple as a real company, Lee Philip Packard, I said, you know, I thought it over inside myself, and I said, no. My thing in life was to be an engineer for life, and HP is an engineer's company. I'm going to stay here for life, and I love to design computers, and I love to write software, and I've got these great Apple inventions, but I can keep doing that on my own time. I don't need to start a company to do it. Very much a fear of starting and running a company. The only way I got talked out of it was realizing you can start a company and still stay an engineer, and do what you like to do for life, and stay at the bottom of the org chart for your entire life, which is, you know, what I made sure that I did. Just what I want to be, you know. Some people need to be a lot more. One of the greatest keys to success in business was taught to me by my father. It's really your personality, how you get along with other people. The trouble is there's not one type of personality. There's so many different people that are all different. You have to get along with some at work. How far you're going to advance is going to be dependent on getting along with people that are sometimes very unlike yourself. So you just have to have this area to always be pleasant, even if you don't like the way they're saying something or how it sounds, and find ways to get them to hear some good advice or suggestions or whatever. But I worked at Hewlett Packard for a while. We changed the world and got rid of calculators with our scientific calculators. And I was lucky that I got hired without a degree from college. I had 3 years of college. I was taking a year off to work, to earn the money for my 4th year of college, because I had to pay my way. And I had enough skills in designing computers. Back in high school, I designed every computer I could. And you get very, very skillful when you're doing something with no end result. I could never get the parts to build a computer. So my designs had to get over and over on a spare weekend. I'll redesign this one and try to save the parts and do it better, do a better job. I came up with tricks that would be in notebooks that I knew that no other humans would do, and that I was extremely good at doing this kind of design. I was reviewed for it. When I worked at Hewlett Packard, it was a wonderful company. Everyone got along so well. You would talk to your boss, and you were on a first-name basis, and his boss, and the boss of him, and everybody flowed around in a very open environment. It was more like a community and a family, and engineers were the most respected people in that company. It's a company that was started by engineers. There was good communication at all levels. If an engineer came up with an idea for a new product, it very often became the new product the company was going to work on. It didn't have to come from the top down. It could come from anywhere in the company. We had an awful lot of fun, too. Got along well together, did a lot of fun airplane trips, and there was a time where Hewlett Packard felt like a family. They would roll in the coffee and donuts twice a day, and everyone would come to gather in one place. And you get to meet a few of the people that you aren't normally standing with and talking with, and hear what they're about, what they're doing right now. But there was a time when we had a recession, and Hewlett Packard had to cut back 10%. However, my dad had taught me the most important thing you're ever going to have in your life is your job. And you don't want to ever lose that. So Hewlett Packard basically cut everyone's salary by 10%, gave us 1 day every 2 weeks off, instead of firing 10% of the people. So no one had to get kicked out on the street with no salary at all, and I thought that was very good. Although I'm probably in the minority. I always believe that you should have fun in the work you do. If you're not enjoying it, something's wrong and you ought to look around for something else to do. At least be able to joke with others and maybe put little jokes into what you do. Fun and work go together. I used to think about what's the most important thing. How do you measure your life when you're done? Is it how far you got, how successful you are with the company, how much money you had, what a great house you had? Or is it how many laughs you had during your life compared to friends? Obviously, to me, it was how happy you were, day in, day out. And I came up with a little formula I used once to my old high school, H equals F cubed. Happiness equals fun, friends, and family. And then the students started laughing and I realized maybe there's another F. In technology, Apple has had a good reputation from day one for a humanist approach. And I often talk about, even when I teach young children, the way this computer worked on that particular example of program, it was so awful. It wasn't the way humans think. It's so inhuman. And I like to use that word, but basically it's the human-technology dichotomy. Do we try to build things for humans? Are humans more important or are the technology more important? And of course, in my mind, the humans should be more important. And there was a certain period in the 80s, the mid-80s, where Apple did so much to make everything obvious in computers, how they would work, that you didn't have to learn. You could have as powerful a tool as the next guy, but you could figure out how to use it without having to be trained as much. And that's the sort of thinking that disappears a little in computers, even in Macintoshes. And some products that you see, they've designed the product around the human as the center of the universe. And other products, it's all there, but it's technical and it's hard to find which buttons to push and this and that. So you can always think about that sort of contribution on whatever you're working on. And don't be afraid to speak out if you know a way to make something work easier. The best work I ever did in my engineering life was always due to a couple of things, mainly more than anything else. Lack of money. When you don't have money, it forced me to redesign computers over and over until I got so good at it. When I would also try to design things with very few parts, and that's efficiency. If you can make something $10 less than somebody else, that $10 is what you get for the patent, for its worth. Also, a lack of tools. I love not having tools, not being able to afford them, because I'd have to sit there and write programs that stored little bits of data somewhere, and I'd go look at it, figure out what's going wrong. I had to work so much harder than the average person to write a program, but I understood it, every little coding line in my head, every little binary 1 and 0 of the object code. And it forced me to know the program better. I'd write the programs, and instead of typing them into an assembler, I couldn't afford it. I would hand assemble it into zeros and ones and type them into the computer. And but it made me understand my own code better. So the other thing that helped me with my designs, helped make them very good, was lacking experience. being very good and skilled and well educated, but tackling something you've never done before. Looking up little data, coming up with your own ideas that are new, and building it. If you're a good engineer, you can build something very efficiently, whereas if you have done it before, you'll do it the old way. And the old way often is just bump, the standard way, and maybe the new way, because of new components, new materials that didn't exist before, maybe the new way comes out to be half as many parts. I was going to say, that you conclude with know your dreams and follow them, but everybody here is talking about dreams today. And what I'm talking about more is less the goal of where you want to get to, but more the things that you want to work on right now, today, this instant. Everyone has pastimes, the sort of thing you do for no extrinsic rewards. None of those rewards that other people can see on you. Not for a salary, not for a grade, not for fancy clothes, not for a title. The things that you're going to go do on your own time when you have nothing else to do with anyone, you're just going to be alone. And those are the things that tell you that's what you really want to work on, do in life is work, and that's where you should go. Thanks so much.